Hello, everybody. My name is Lisette Lagunas, and this is my week 3 presentation for MPA 520. Let's get started. This week, we will be discussing temperament, character, and intelligence. So, according to our readings, intelligence is an important tool for a leader to have. Understanding that each employee has depth in their aptitude is key. Intelligence can be tested and understood in endless ways. So I think it is very important for a leader to understand that intelligence is a broad topic and we can test and assess our subordinates in various ways. We cannot expect them to complete tasks the way that we complete tasks because we are all so very different. And it is important to understand that emotional intelligence plays a great role in maintaining positive relationships with people around, and it is essential to being a successful leader. We know that there's also emotional intelligence that also triggers different relationships, and that is how it helps us build other relationships and having a better understanding of our personal emotional intelligence is very, very key part to being a successful leader. The other thing that we will discuss is a leader and character. A leader should know what type of character they aspire to build. A leader should seek to have a character that earns respect and affection from others. In chapter 3, we learned that even in our values, our character and our temperament play a very significant role. Our character also plays an important role in our social roles. There are definitely some roles that we choose not to partake in, but there are other roles like being a son or a daughter, a grandchild, a niece, or a nephew that we really don't have a choice in, but our character and our temperament definitely decide what type of values, language, and self-image we will use to carry out those roles. Our temperament also has a lot to do with what we value as a person, and although we can try to place value on something very desperately, if it is not in our nature and if it is something that we naturally cannot do, then we won't be triggered to be so invested, and that will definitely have something to do when it comes to affecting our mood and also our temperament in regards to completing a task or being enthusiastic or being calm and reasonable when dealing with mishaps that might happen throughout a task. So not too long ago, about 2 years ago, I had worked as a program coordinator's assistant for over 5 years. And I think that my personality, my temperament, my character, and my intelligence got me through some very tough times working with that specific coordinator because she was very inclined to do things a very precise way. And although we had about 25 tutors to deal with, besides myself as an employee, she did not have the capability to just speak to them and have a meeting with them. So I was completely in charge, and I had to find it in myself to be able to communicate with her and be able to know what she wanted from me. And as a leader, it was very tough to have to do things a very certain way. When we had to do purchase order forms, they had to be in a certain color. We couldn't use blue ink, for example. Everything had to be in black ink, and it had to be very neatly and organized, and it was just very strenuous to have to nitpick at every single thing that we did. And we never had work delegated. It was just assignments, and here is your task for the month, and here is your task for the month, and we could never finish a task completely before we already had 4 or 5 other tasks to complete. Expected all of us to be as invested in her work as she was, because obviously she didn't have a family. She is about 39 years old and has no children, isn't married, and she was very meticulous about the way that she carried out every single task. She wasn't very empathetic with anybody else's schedule. She wanted us to be available at all times of the night. I would receive emails at 2 in the morning and she expected me to respond by 6 in the morning. So working for her was an eye-opening experience because I learned that in order to be a good leader, you need to understand the needs and the wants of your employees and understand that what you are able to provide in a job is not always what everybody else will be able to provide as well. Learn to build a tough character and not take things so seriously, especially when they came from her. I knew that she was somebody I respected, but she was not her comments were not going to break me. I knew that when she said, "This isn't done right," it didn't necessarily mean that I had done a horrible job. It was just not the specific way that she wanted it. So I built a character from there, and I learned my values, and I learned to value myself. And I learned that in order for me to have emotional intelligence, I needed to take a grasp into what I really wanted to do and understand that being in a very negative environment all the time is definitely going to have an emotional impact on yourself. So that is my personal experience with temperament, character, and intelligence these past few years. And I really hope you learned something from me. Have a great week, everybody.